Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm your studio NPL photography mentor, and today we're going to do something fun with macro photography. This is called oil and water photography, and we're going to use a macro lens, and it's going to be a great opportunity to make some really cool images. So I'm actually going to use my cell phone today. You could use your camera with a macro lens, or you could use your cell phone and just add a macro lens to it. This is a macro lens I have on my phone. There's several different types of little lenses you can get for your cell phone. So if you have one of those, this will be a great chance to use it. So to do the oil and water photography, you're gonna need just a couple things. A glass bowl, you're gonna need some water. I'm gonna use coconut oil today, and the reason why is because you're gonna have to melt it, and it slowly starts to get solid again while you're doing your pictures, and it can do a really neat variety of images. So that's kind of fun to let that do what it does while you're taking pictures. You're also gonna need some different types of fabric. So if you have some scarves, a great chance to pull them out. If you have just some fabric laying around, I'm gonna use, for this demonstration, I have a scarf here from a Jane Austen novel. So I'm actually gonna do it with some words today. So that'll be a lot of fun. So we're gonna kick off. What I'm gonna have to do is melt the coconut oil. So I'm gonna run to the microwave behind me and melt just about 1/4 cup. It doesn't really matter how much, it's just that once you put the oil in, you can't take it out. So start off with a little amount and add to more. The first thing you will need to do is put the water in. Again, this does not matter how much, however much water you want. So you just kind of pour it in, then you're gonna be adding the oil, but I'm gonna go heat the oil up. Remember, it does solidify pretty quickly, so you wanna make sure you're ready to shoot before you melt your oil and add it. Okay, so I've set up our bowl here. I have the water in it. I'm using the scarf with the words, and then I have melted my coconut oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in. I do have a spoon as well to kind of mix it. So we're gonna pour it in, and then you can see pretty much a giant bubble right there. And then I'm gonna kind of just go like this. Remember, you can always add more, but you can't take it out after you put it in. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I have my camera now, and I'm gonna go up close. You wanna make sure you don't drop your phone in the water and oil, so keep that in mind, be very aware of that. You're gonna need to get pretty close to get the macro shot. And if these bubbles are moving around, so I'm gonna try to get the bubble when it gets into a word, just because I'm using the word scarf today. And I have some bubbles that are large bubbles with small bubbles all around them. That is a great one to get a whole bunch of letters all mixed in there. And if you need to mix it back up, you can. Remember, being the coconut oil, it is gonna start to solidify on us. So you wanna try to get as many shots before it starts to change as possible. The really cool thing, if you're using a scarf with lots of color and energy in it, you'll be able to get the reflection of those in your pictures, in these bubbles. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind, this particular bowl that I'm using, right in the middle of it, has the name of the bowl right across. So I don't want that in my picture. And then there's a line of words on this side too. So I don't want those in my photographs. So you kind of want to always be aware of where the bubbles are when you're taking these pictures. And you're trying to get whatever exciting image you can find. This is kind of cool to do outside too. You can use the sunlight to get some extra reflections in there if you'd like, or you can also light it. I'm just using the kitchen lighting right now. And if you can tell right here, it's starting to get some scratchy lines, and what that is the oil is going solid on us again. But that can actually add a really cool effect to your image, especially if you can get it to go over like a special word that you're trying to communicate in your design. And remember, you want to get nice and close because that's what the macro lens does. You can also zoom in. See how I zoomed in here with my camera? That gets some really cool. You can do that in post too, remember? If you're like, oh, I didn't thought about that and I already took half of my pictures, then you can just do that in post. I really like the letters reflecting in these bubbles. But I've done it with all different types of designs before. And I'll show you some of those pictures so you can see how it would look with just colorful scarves and fabric. So I hope you'll take a moment and just kind of play around with this. If you do make some images this way, please go ahead and upload them, and you can tag Studio NPL because I'd love to see what you're doing with your macro photography. And we'll have some more workshops in the future right here on Studio NPL.
how I win.
Hey, how's it going? It's Saran. I'm an audio production mentor with Studio NPL and Southern Word, and I am here today to show you how to produce on Garageband, specifically for the mobile iOS that covers the iPad and the iPhone. So previously, I've made videos for GarageBand that includes bringing in audio and importing it for a session. It includes utilizing audio loops and MIDI loops, as well as the drummer track, and then how to arrange into a full song. Now, what I've done in this project, I'm going to show you how to do a similar thing on GarageBand for the mobile iOS, so that this way, regardless of what format or what platform you're using, you'll still be able to make a complete track. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up GarageBand. When you open up GarageBand, you are going to see these different options for creating your first track. But for the sake of just kind of like really diving in, let's just click up here to the top, and we're going to go to live loops, and you can kind of see the different categories. And live loops we'll cover in a different video. So go to tracks. I want to say we're going to go here to keyboard, go to sampler. And then the idea is just to get this screen open. So now this looks pretty complicated, but we're actually gonna kind of navigate out of this. So you see this button up here with like kind of the bricks. We're gonna click that to kind of hide that. Now up here to the right, you'll see this kind of like roller coaster loop-de-loop icon. We're gonna click X, and this is gonna be all your Logic loops, right? And so as you can see, it is a bunch. It's like over 5,000 of them. And right here, you have these three options right here where it says instruments. You can filter down the list based upon instrument, based upon genre, and based upon descriptor, right? So let's go to genre, and let's see. Maybe we can do like some electronic pop. And then from here, it's a matter of, I like to say, treating them kind of like Lego blocks, but they're like Lego blocks of sound. So you're basically gonna take them, you're gonna drag them over, and in a similar way that you make a building out of Legos, you wanna stack them up neatly, make sure that they're on top of each other so that this way they're kind of synced in time. Real quick, a couple things that I just wanna show you. If you click this gear wheel, this is where you get a bit of information about the track. So we can see the tempo, time signature, the key signature. Now these things will adapt the loops to make it, whether the timing stretch to whatever you set this to, and it will also adjust the key of the loops to make sure that it's in key. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and we're gonna set this to 140, and that's gonna be our BPM for this track. So let's go back to the loops, and then from here it's just kind of like you pick and choose. So you click on it, you'll hear it. Right, okay. This sounds kind of cool. So let's grab this, and you're just gonna hold on it and drag it over. Now the thing is, notice that it takes up the entire screen, but at the top here, you only see that this session is only 8 bars long. And so what we need to do so we can kind of create a full track is click this plus, and then we can go to section A, and we can just drag this up to make it a really big number. I like to keep it in multiples of 8. So I like to go with 64. And now you notice that it's stretched out. So this would give us time to be able to like make an entire song. Now, if you want to manipulate this and get rid of the loops, you double click on it, and then, or actually you can grab here, pull that back. Now, if I press play, right. Now notice that this loop is green, which means this is MIDI. And so what that means, if I click edit, now it opens up and I can actually come in here and change the notes. You're gonna kind of see a few different loops styles that you can manipulate, different formats I should say. So the green ones in the list are all MIDI, which means you can change the individual notes. I could also change the instrument if I wanted. So for example, we have this right here, which is this kind of keyboard, but if I wanted to change this, I actually could. So you click the keys at the top, and then notice that it pulls this up. So if I wanted to play it, I could do that. But right in the middle where it says perfect pitch, I can actually change this to any instrument that I want. So if I want it to be a Japanese koto instead, press play. right? And the list kind of goes on and on and on and on. So find something that you like. I actually think that's kind of cool. So we're going to rock with that. And now, while we're still here, let's go to instruments. Let's go to drums. See what we can find. So it's maybe a little bit too straightforward. So let's change genres while we still have this loop and see what we can come up with. Maybe let's go, ooh, let's see chill wave. I like this one. Now sometimes what'll happen is, notice that these drums sound really fast, right? Now if I take this one for instance, that is like just super fast, hide that, and then I'm gonna drag this all the way back so now I can kind of zoom in a little bit. Now when I press play, it's gonna sound really quick, right? But a lot of times that's what happens when you set your tempo. So if we go up here to this gear wheel, notice this at 140. Although the tempo is at 140, technically it's double time, so we're working at 70. So if you click on this and then click on settings, what you can actually do is go right here to speed, and I can change this to halftime. So now it's gonna sound like, right? And let's grab a couple more. So we're gonna go here, let's type in pad and just find something that's a little bit more of like a texture and see what we can find. Yep. Get out of drums. That's kind of cool. So let's try that and see if it fits. Sometimes it doesn't always work, and if it doesn't work, that is a-okay. You just try and try and try again. So let's see what it sounds like. So maybe it could work, but the pad is so loud. So if you click up here, you'll see these kind of 3 vertical lines with dots. This kind of gives you just a little bit information about the track, the one that's selected. So we have the pad, and now here's the track volume, and I can take that and turn it down. Right, so now that we kind of throw it in the background, it fits better. So now that we have a pad, maybe we can add some bass in here. Let's try this one. Get a little sub bass going. So if you're listening on headphones, you'll definitely hear this. Which sounds pretty nice. And then let's see, last but not least, maybe we can add like a cool riser effect. So go ahead and get that added in there. So now we have these 5 elements. And so now the key is going to be to arrange them out into an actual song. So what I like to do is we can just kind of take this, and I'm going to kind of grab all these, and we're going to just move these off to the side for a second. So I like this. Cool. So then let's go ahead and we're going to copy this. We're going to move the playhead to exactly where we want it to paste. And then we're going to just right there, click paste, boom. And as you can see, it's there. Now, what I highly recommend is to just go ahead and keep pasting all the way out. And I'm going to show you why. It makes it a lot easier for arranging. And then so we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy this one. And then we're going to paste this one out until we get to the end. Great. And the same thing again. Do it again for the base. And then for the riser, I'm not going to paste that one out just yet. But so now it looks like, if we zoom out, it just looks like the same thing over and over and over. But now what we're going to do is we're just going to delete the different loops where we don't want them and kind of arrange the song out that way. So let's get rid of the drums for now. Get rid of the pad for now. And we're just going to kind of have that keyboard sound start the track. So we have this. Cool. So from there, I actually don't want the drums to come in yet, but I'm going to have the bass come in the next phrase. From there, we're going to have the drums come in. Drums are a little loud, so we're going to turn those down some. Bass a little loud, we're going to turn that down some. You just kind of want to get a good balance, right? So now we're going to have the pad come in. And then at that part right there. Of course, you can have it where you could have some more drums come in, but I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to take some sounds out, and I'm just going to leave the pad. And although this doesn't follow a traditional like verse, chorus format, you kind of get the idea. So we have this. And it builds. And we can delete the pad here. Delete the drums here. And it's going to kind of work as like our outro, if you will. All right. And then as you can see, we pretty much have a song laid out. So now what you would do if you were making a beat in a different capacity, maybe you might want to outline, oh, this is the intro, this is the verse, this is the chorus, this is the pre-chorus, this is the bridge, this is the outro, and then align your loops. But it work in a relatively similar fashion that I arranged this out today. All right, so I showed you how to make a complete track in Garageband on the mobile versions, whether that's adding loops in, whether MIDI or audio tracks, how to manipulate that, how to change the tempo of your session, and how to arrange it out so that you have the different sections of a song, whether that's the intro, the chorus, the verse, and so on. And so with this, there are so many other videos available on the Studio NPL YouTube channel, so be sure to check those out. And of course, stay connected with Southern Word, with all the programming that we offer for young people at southernword.org. Till next time.
If you would like to learn more about any of the tutorials you've just watched, you can find these and many more great books at the Nashville's Public Library. If you have a valid library card, you can also check out ebooks and audiobooks through the Libby and Overdrive app.